A 27-year-old Florida man faces 40 years in prison after federal agents unsealed an indictment involving illegal narcotics and firearms in a major crime crackdown.
What would you do if just one momentary wrong decision robbed you of 40 years of freedom in your life? Today, we're going to dive into a shocking federal case file that was just unsealed in Florida. A 27-year-old young man, deadly illegal substances, and an arsenal of unlawful weapons created a chain of inescapable tragedy. Behind this cold indictment isn't just one crime, it's a profound warning and untold hidden corners in the Take Back America campaign. What really happened to Terrell TaQuez Parker? Let's uncover it right now. If you find these cautionary legal stories useful, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment sharing your perspective, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next valuable life lessons. On March 19, 2026 specifically, a federal indictment was officially unsealed in the Pensacola area of the state of Florida. This information quickly attracted the attention of the local public as well as the media due to the serious nature of the legal violations mentioned. Behind those dry legal documents is a powerful message about the determination of law enforcement agencies to protect the peace of the community. United States Attorney John P. Heekin, who is currently holding the position of United States Attorney for the Northern District of Florida, personally came forward to officially announce these charges. The fact that a high-ranking official directly spoke out shows the importance of the case as well as the commitment to transparency of information to the public. The target of this indictment is a 27-year-old young man named Terrell TaQuez Parker, identified as a resident of the Milton area and someone who has a prior criminal record in the past. This young man's case is not simply a personal file, but is also seen as the clearest and sharpest evidence of the tireless efforts of law enforcement agencies. Through this incident, the United States government wants to affirm its tough stance in suppressing violent crimes that are plaguing society. At the same time, this is also a decisive step to prevent the spread of dangerous addictive substances that are destroying the future of countless families day by day. According to the detailed information released by the authorities after a thorough investigation process, Terrell TaQuez Parker has been officially indicted by the federal grand jury. He faces two extremely serious charges that directly threaten community security and public health. The first charge relates to the act of possessing a strictly controlled substance with the intent to distribute it on the illegal market. This is an act that sows the seeds of peril for the healthy development of society. The most concerning thing in the first charge is the quantity and nature of the seized evidence. Investigators discovered more than 40 grams of a mixture and substance containing extremely dangerous chemical components. The appearance of these prohibited substances in the community always brings countless heartbreaking consequences, from the deterioration of users' health to the breakdown of family happiness, and the increase of other social evils, turning peaceful residential areas into hot spots of insecurity. The second charge that Parker faces is no less serious: the act of possessing an illegal firearm. Even more noteworthy, this act was committed in his capacity as someone who had previously been convicted of a crime and has a criminal record. The fact that an individual who has violated the law continues to equip himself with lethal weapons shows contempt for discipline and the law, and poses the risk of unpredictable violent acts erupting, directly endangering innocent people living around where the subject resides. The combination of possessing and intending to sell highly toxic, prohibited substances, along with illegally possessing firearms, has elevated the severity of the case to a new level. It paints a grim picture of an individual ready to use every means to achieve his illegal purposes. The danger this subject poses to community security is real, requiring the law to intervene promptly and with sufficient deterrent power to protect people's lives. Through these two charges, we can draw a very profound lesson about the price to pay for wrong decisions. Youth is inherently the most beautiful period to contribute, build the future, and pursue dreams. Yet just because of momentary material temptations or lack of thought, a 27-year-old young man has closed the door to his own life. This story is a wake-up call for everyone, especially young people, to raise awareness and stay away from the traps of sin. To deal with such serious legal violations, the United States federal legal system always prescribes very strict and clear penalties. If convicted by the court in the upcoming trial process, Parker will face a bleak future behind bars. For the charge of possessing prohibited substances with intent to distribute, the mandatory minimum sentence prescribed by law is 5 years imprisonment, and the maximum can go up to 40 years of complete isolation from free life. The punishment does not stop there, because mistakes often have a chain effect and must be paid for with an entire youth. In addition to the sentence for the drug-related charge for the act of illegally possessing a firearm by a person with a prior conviction, the defendant may receive an extremely heavy additional sentence. According to legal regulations, the sentence for this second charge can go up to 15 years imprisonment. This is clear evidence of the principle of zero tolerance toward acts that directly threaten human life. Although facing heavy penalties and public condemnation, the judicial system still always emphasizes and respects the most basic principles of a civilized criminal justice system. It must be clearly understood that an indictment is essentially an accusatory document from the grand jury stating that the defendant has signs of violating federal criminal law. It is absolutely not a final judgment or irrefutable evidence to convict a person without going through the adversarial process in court. This is a bright spot that embodies the humanity in the modern justice system to protect the legitimate rights of individuals. Parker, like all other defendants standing before the bar, is fully entitled to the presumption of innocence until there is an official verdict from the jury. He has the right to legal protection of the right to defense and the right to a fair and transparent trial before an independent and objective court. That is the solid foundation of a society that always upholds justice and respects human rights. Throughout the trial process in court, the burden of proving the defendant's guilt rests entirely with the government and the prosecution agencies. They must present sharp arguments, solid and most convincing evidence to prove the criminal act. In particular, this evidence must meet the highest legal standard, proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If they fail to do so, the court cannot arbitrarily sentence or deprive a person of their inherent freedom. Looking back at the case-solving process, we can see that Parker's case was not the result of a single coincidental or lucky arrest effort. On the contrary, it is the crystallization of a long-term, highly organized scientific and professional investigation process. The success of this special operation owes much to the close and synchronized coordination among many high-level law enforcement agencies. This shows the unity and common determination in the arduous battle against evil to protect the community. The core forces directly involved in investigating this special case include the most reputable and experienced leading agencies in the United States. That is the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, an organization always at the forefront in the uncompromising war against drug trafficking networks that devastate society. Standing side by side with them is the United States Marshal Service with the specialized task of apprehending particularly dangerous subjects. In addition, the important role of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives cannot be overlooked in strictly controlling deadly weapons. After the investigation process ended and the evidence was fully collected, the case will move to the official prosecution phase in federal court. The extremely important legal responsibility will be directly taken over by Assistant United States Attorney Jessica S. Etherton. Entrusting such a complex case to a capable legal expert shows thorough preparation and determination to bring criminals to justice under the light of law to maintain social order. Even more noteworthy, when delving deeper into the context, we realize that the prosecution case of Terrell TaQuez Parker carries a much greater strategic significance than an ordinary case. It is a very important part within the framework of a large-scale and ambitious campaign named Operation Take Back America. This is not just a routine deployment, but an initiative of national scope reflecting the strong political vision and determination of high-level officials in creating a truly safe living environment. This campaign is designed with the goal of mobilizing and optimizing all resources and combined strength of the United States Department of Justice. It aims to achieve 3 key objectives to thoroughly address the core issues that threaten national security day by day. First is the effort to push back the negative and unpredictable impacts from irregular immigration. Second is the ironclad determination to completely eliminate the existence of gangs and transnational criminal organizations operating across borders. The third, and also the most profoundly humanitarian objective of the entire campaign, is the effort to protect the safety of residential communities, especially vulnerable and easily harmed areas. Law enforcement agencies commit to creating a safe and solid shield to protect people from perpetrators who specialize in violent crimes. By bringing individuals who commit serious legal violations like Parker to justice, this campaign is gradually realizing its lofty commitments for a prosperous life for the people. Through this very timely legal story, each of us needs to take a moment of silence to reflect on our own responsibility toward the surrounding community. Maintaining security and order is not solely the task of the police or state law enforcement agencies, but is also the sacred duty of every citizen. A society can only truly be peaceful and develop sustainably when each individual consciously obeys the law, lives responsibly and morally, and always has the courage to speak up to defend righteousness in the face of evil. The sad story of this 27-year-old young man is also a very powerful message sent to parents and those working in educating the younger generation. Caring understanding and timely psychological guidance for one's children is an urgent task more than ever. We need to strive to build a truly healthy living environment, provide necessary legal knowledge so that the children have enough resilience to reject the dangerous temptations surrounding them. Let love, understanding, and proper education become the lighthouse that illuminates and guides them into life. This fitting and extremely strict sentence is a stern warning sent to any individual or organization intending to enrich themselves illicitly. S. Etherton. It is a wake-up call for those heartlessly building their fortunes on the lives, health, and suffering of millions of citizens in the community. Borders. Areas. No dark force whatsoever can stand above the law, and the price to pay for devastating society will always be the loss of their own freedom. The tremendous educational value from Siglar's story is a reminder to the younger generation about the unfathomable consequences of falling into the path. A momentary impulse for massive immediate profits can be traded for an entire youth buried in a dark prison, losing one's family and future. We need to build a healthy lifestyle, having firm fortitude to say no to all toxic temptations creeping around our living environment every day. Isn't just one crime. What do you think about the role of family education in preventing teenagers from being exposed to and drawn into? Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to hit like as well as subscribe to the channel so the combined effort of every individual will be a solid brick building a sturdy fortress to protect society from the drug epidemic. The arrest and conviction of Clifford Siglar in the city of Little Rock is actually not an isolated or random event by the police force. On the contrary, it is a highly important and prominent puzzle piece in a panoramic picture of the effort to sweep. This breathless chase with 2.6 kilograms of fentanyl has highlighted the urgency of a large-scale campaign launched by the DEA named Fentanyl Free America. This historic campaign was launched with full determination in October 2025, carrying an innovative and highly practical goal. The focus of the campaign is to concentrate on targeted law enforcement operations aiming directly at the illegal drug distribution networks expanding. The campaign set a core mission of completely dismantling this toxic supply chain while simultaneously boosting awareness. Moving into the early months of 2026, Phase 2 of the Fentanyl Free America campaign was deployed in an extremely aggressive and light. In a mere period of 30 days from January 12th to February 10th, 2026, law enforcement had to work at That relentless effort brought shocking results, far exceeding all initial predictions and dealing thunderous blows to. Just within the brief time span of this second phase, anti-drug forces dealt a fatal blow to the cartels by seizing a massive amount of it. They successfully confiscated over 4.7 million pills containing fentanyl. This enormous volume is equivalent to law enforcement timely removing over 57 million deadly doses of fentanyl from residential communities. The administrator of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, Mr. Terrence Cole, gave a incredibly forceful and profound remarks assessing the nature of. He emphasized that the drug poisoning epidemic we are facing has been fueled in. These cold-blooded individuals are operating on a scale and with a level of sophistication no different from. These criminal conglomerates have ruthlessly weaponized fentanyl, turning it into a massive profit-generating tool with a very They want to increase the level of dependence and addiction of the American people to illegal drugs, thereby easily draining their money and destroying their health. Administrator Cole strongly affirmed that the continuous seizure of large amounts of drugs will directly strike the core profits of the cartels, weakening. At the same time, these campaigns also play a pivotal role in dismantling and eradicating the sophisticated money laundering networks that the current expansion of drug cartels is absolutely terrifying. They absolutely do not spare any territory or residential. While Siglar's case occurred in the southern region of the U.S. in the state of Arkansas, the situation in other regions is not any more optimistic and has a criminal record. The fact that an individual who has violated the law in the vast Midwest region, the Omaha Field Division of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the agency in charge of security oversight for 5 states, also recorded staggering numbers. This area includes the states of Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska. Special agent in charge of the Omaha Division, Mr. Dustin Gillespie, provided information